Welcome to Real Estate U with Lettiann.
Welcome back to Real Estate U with Lettiann. I have the pleasure of being with Rhees Hancock today. He's with Kingdom Movers right here, locally owned moving company in the Kansas City Metropolitan Area. Welcome, Rhees.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You bet. Is this your first podcast?
This is my first podcast.
Yeah, they're fun. They're so fun.
I was going to say.
I'll tell you, the 20 minutes goes by really quickly.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. We're going to talk about so you're on a moving crew. And we had the pleasure of interviewing John McCracken, the owner, yesterday. And what a great, I loved his philosophy and his business philosophy and how he hires the quality. He and I had a discussion about quality over quantity because it really makes a difference. I too here, I'm broker owner here at Lettiann and Associates Real Estate Services, and I'm always looking for quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. It just makes a big difference. You tend to sustain and build stronger relationships with people. So tell me what it's like to be on moving crew. Because I would think there's a lot of camaraderie there as well, and making new friends, and then also serving the client. So, what does that look like to be on a moving crew?
Yeah. So typically, whenever when you're in the midst of moving, once you've gotten started, you found a rhythm of just when to carry out boxes and when to carry furniture. It's kind of just like a cohesion forms with between you and your crew. And just honestly with the customer too. Sometimes the customer's helping, or sometimes they're just kind of helping direct. Standing at a distance, which is still great. But it's really cool to be able to just ask about the customer during that time. And then kind of talking with your, kind of communicating with your crew and your teammates, just about how things are going, how they're doing with, carrying boxes. It's just kind of cool. You're in the midst of like, you're sweating, you're tired, but also just having a great time. It's just, it's almost unexplainable. You can't really...
Do you get in? I think if I think about it, like, do you just get in the zone and go?
That's the tendency. Yeah. I know for me personally, I love to just like really focus on the task at hand. But then if you're not talking with your team, it's kind of just like a dry spell of a move. And it can sometimes just be, I don't know, just a little dry. And so I always love talking to my friends. Luckily, some of my friends work with me. I was able to get them on at Kingdom Movers and just be able to talk with them makes moving a lot more fun when you can talk about your life or get to know somebody. Like another person that I've learned to know is a man named Hisham, and he's from Egypt, and just really asking about his life and his testimony. It's really cool just to be able to grow with that person in that time.
When someone's from another country, I always ask them about their food because I'm kind of a foodie. And we were lucky enough to have somebody on our show yesterday was born in Cairo. So Cairo, Egypt.
Wow.
And I just think diversity is great, and we all learn from one another, don't we?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I learned that he's never had a lot of the really common foods here. And so when we go to lunch and stuff, it's always really cool to see him like, wow, this is great, and or not great, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's funny what we're used to, and the memories and food are how intertwined they are.
Yeah.
So, Rhees, from a mover's perspective, how do you view the moving industry as a whole? Like just as a whole, what's your view?
So yeah, my personal perspective, it's very spontaneous. You can't control it as much as you want to. It's very interesting. It's definitely, I've had many jobs in the past of just a set schedule, and you go in at a certain time and you leave at a certain time. You know your job 3 weeks from now. It's not like that with moving. You always have to be flexible. I like to say you have to be fat. You have to be flexible, adaptable, and teachable. You have to be able to roll with the punches, and you have to be able to pick up where you need to pick up and let loose where you need to let loose. It's kind of interesting, but it's very spontaneous. It's sporadic, but it's very fun and it's very rewarding as well.
How do you deal with those changes as a lead mover? Because there's so much that's unpredictable, but it's planned, but it could change at any moment.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So yeah, a lot of times if you're not careful, you can kind of just come out of a place of like uncontrolled. Like if you're not on top of it, you could kind of be a little angry. And I've done that before, but at the same time, there's been many times where you just kind of have to sit, think, and just kind of humble yourself and say, well, I'm not going anywhere until this job is done. And however I can get it done and please the customer and change their mind about moving companies and moving industries, I'm just willing to make that sacrifice. And so it's better that way to just kind of humble yourself and to look at the joy of ending the job that will help you endure the the pain of the punches. So
I love that. And you almost need to stay 2 steps ahead, I would think, because in anticipation of the change, just so like our mind and our heart and, everything, our emotions don't make us upset because, well, we thought this was going to be over by 8, but now here it is 10:30 p.m., right?
Yeah.
You need, like you said, just focus on the end job and because it's a mindset.
Yeah,
I would
it
think.
really is. Whenever you say 2 steps ahead, I'm usually when people say that or think that, it means physically 2 steps ahead, but it's really a mental game. I know a lot of my common thoughts are to be steps ahead. I have to think, well, if this job goes later than normal, I just need to know that these people need a bed to sleep on tonight, or they're going to pay for a hotel, and that's just extra expenses. And so, just kind of thinking, I want to please the customer at whatever expense. So.
You're customer driven. So if you're just tuning in, I want to let you know that we're talking with Rhees Hancock today. He's a team lead mover with Kingdom Movers, locally owned and operated business right here in the Kansas City Metropolitan Area. So if you're looking for a mover, or if you have any questions for Rhees or John McCracken, who was on our show previously, you can contact them at the information is below. We're just getting some inside look at movers because those of us who have watched the movers, I know offering you a cold bottle of water, like we just want to do more for you, but without getting in the way. It's an awkward place. It's almost like we shouldn't watch because we're just getting in the way. Maybe we'll give you some water. And so what is your favorite aspect, Rhees, about serving the customer?
Man, I specifically with this job, I've never worked at any other moving companies. I'm glad I don't, because this specific company, we pray for the customers at the end. And there's been tons of moves. My friends can vouch. I tell them almost every time when I'm frustrated, when moves didn't go the way I thought, when I try to control them mentally. And I come out of the back end of it, where we've loaded up all of our stuff, we're ready to leave. After we've prayed for them, during that prayer, when I've just spent like honest heart-to-heart time with the customers and just prayed with them, it really changes the whole day. And I've told my friends several times, like, and now it was all worth it. You're just seeing the awe on their face of like, wow, these people aren't just mindless movers that just want to get home. Yes, we want to get home, but we want to make sure that we're not fleeing the scene. We want to leave on good terms. And so just leaving on good terms and then sealing it with prayer, honestly, it's just, there's not many better feelings. So
when John, the owner, John McCracken, told me that yesterday, because I'd met John for the first time, and I always ask people to save their story for when we're in here because it has far more meaning. If we kind of talk and rehearse it out there, it's almost like an afterthought in here.
Okay.
So when he told me that yesterday, like I was tearing up, and I mean, it was so heartfelt. And I mean, again, I'm reminded of that by you telling me that again today. So I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And I hope everyone appreciates it. I know there's some occasions, John said, that people just were really taken aback by it and kind of surprised by it, but most people really embrace it. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So how do you find camaraderie with your teammates, your moving teammates?
Yeah. Like earlier, in the midst of the move, when you are all dealing with obstacles together and you can overcome those obstacles, I can tell you, there's been times where we've found this couch. We knew this couch was going to be moved at a certain point, but we didn't know when it's going to be moved. And as a crew lead, I have to think about when things are moved into the truck at a certain time, just so it's packed properly. You look, we've seen this couch and we've started to move this couch and it won't go through the door. And we're all just like, how can we get this through the door?
It had to get in here?
Yeah.
How are we going to get it out?
Ask the customer, did you assemble this in the house? Was it came in a box? And
was it sewn inside?
And we take the cushions off. Turns out there's a bed in there, which adds an extra 150 pounds.
Yeah.
And so that's just like, you just look at your friends like,
deep breath.
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
And so whenever you climb over that obstacle and get it through and safely loaded, just you all high five, fist bump, like it's like you've all just won the lottery or you finished a 5K together or a marathon. It really, there's something else about physical activity, physical working, that brings men and women together on the job site. And so, that's what I would say about camaraderie with the guys. So.
Do all the little kids running around to get in the way ever? Jump on the furniture while you're trying to move it. I can see that, right? Like little kids just super excited, like someone's at their house.
Actually, they usually stay out of the way, but there's been several times where they've offered to help. And there was this one young man, I forget his name, but he was just so shining bright. Like he was like, I want to help you. And they had like a little home gym, and so we would carry it down the stairs into their little home basement and home workout in their basement, and we just have conversations. And if they help, it's awesome, just because it's more camaraderie it's like I've made a new friend, and so it also takes a couple trips off me. So
you may have changed his life.
I do not know.
I'm just saying, because so often kids want to help, and they truly are like, well, I'd love to help you. And they mean it. Like you said, he was shining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe he'll remember that day that Rhees helped him carry the workout equipment downstairs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the people we meet along the way in the journey, right?
Yeah.
That, and this week alone is there's a lot of that. So
yeah.
There's been a lot of great tears, coming out a little bit around the office this week. So and it's because people like you and John, and I'm meeting some incredible people this week, and I always do on the podcast. So it's I feel blessed.
That's good.
Very blessed to know you. And let me ask you this: what's been your biggest challenge as a mover? Whether it's mental, or maybe it was a particular event, or something you remember. What's been your biggest challenge to date? And you're kind of a young pup, so I know that I didn't need to say that, but we all have challenges.
Yes,
and maybe it's just not that sleeper sofa, right?
Yeah, maybe it's not just a sleeper sofa. It's I would say a moment in moving that's really gotten to me has been when a customer has unfortunately failed to mention that, by the way, we have a storage unit with probably half the stuff that you're moving right now that we need to go to after this. And
nobody knew?
No, I think it was they attempted to communicate, just not properly. And and that hits us, or it just wasn't filtered through all of the, whoever many people hear it that needs to tell their people to get to the people that are actually working. It ends up being, you're 3/4 of the way done with the truck. You have a quarter of the truck where the space left, and you just hear this news like, hey, we need to go to a storage unit after this. And I'm just sitting there like, we need to rent another trailer.
We need more space.
We need another truck, or another trip. And if they're long trips, then it's you're going to need another truck, because you can't, it's just crazy. So you can't do trips, can't do multiple trips, because that just adds extra time onto their time that, we go over estimate, and that's just kind of like big frustrations as well. But yeah, just not being fully prepared, I think, is what a big frustration is for me. Just like there was a move that we did not know there was a storage unit. And so we had to go to the storage unit and take care of that. We ended up getting it done. And whether it was another trip or we rented a trailer, a 6x12, we just loaded it and packed it to the best of our ability and drove it and unloaded it. So
you just make it work.
Just make it work. Got to roll with the punches.
I love it. If you had a back-to-back, because moving when you're on this side is, it looks like very difficult. It's tedious and difficult, but you need to be gentle, but you need to be strong, but you need to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so many things. And I would think the mind plays a big role in that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the opposite end of the spectrum, Rhees, what has been your biggest reward? Can you name like one event or
I can
happenstance?
Yeah. And it's going to sound a little bit like a previous answer, but it was definitely very rewarding. So there was a man that we moved that was going through some hard stuff, and he didn't vocalize any of that. It's just something that I felt, and I could just see it in just the environment that I was in. He was just dealing with a lot, and so we had this is just extra backstory inside of it.
Sure.
But we had a large fridge that was in the basement, and had to go up probably 12 steps of stairs to make a 90-degree turn, and then I get up another 8. And me and my friend Isaiah, we were doing this fridge, and this man just really needed to get stuff out of this house and get to another place. And it was very hard for us. This like really dampened our mood. We couldn't get this fridge up. It almost fell on my friend, but luckily we controlled it. just mishaps, and we were very upset. I was very upset because I felt like it's my responsibility. I almost hurt my friend and my mover, and just how it was kind of stressing out the customer. But just working hard and getting it done, we were able to pray with the customer, and that was the biggest thing. Was I just really felt like this huge thing on my heart for this man, and he was crying after it, and just seeing how just our hard work and how the Lord has blessed us with strength to be able to finish this job that he could not do himself. Just he was weeping at the end of the prayer, and that was something that I will never forget. But it was very rewarding just to know that this man was helped today, and he feels helped, and he feels good. So that was very rewarding.
Thanks, Rhees.
So yeah,
we're both crying. We need to put Kleenex in here, producers. So you're changing lives, Rhees, and you sorry, and you don't even know it, right? You feel like you're helping, and their lives are changing because it's a move, right? And when people move, their lives are changing. But the ironic part of that is you're changing their lives at the same time. So,
wow. It's honestly, it's kind of they're changing my life as well, just with the opportunity to serve and just with the experiences that I get. I mean, just being able to there's been many moves where I'm like, I will never forget this, and it wouldn't have happened without this customer reaching out and letting us do this. So it's both ways, I would say. So, and
they likely said, remember those young men, or I don't know how old they are, but I'm saying young men, and because you're the only one I've met, and other than John, and anyway, these are beautiful, touching stories. I love when there's actually heartfelt, and real estate's a lot of the same way. It's their biggest asset, and you're moving the biggest things in their biggest asset. I mean, I love that you don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
Because I don't take my job lightly either. I always put myself in my customer's shoes, and it sounds like you do the same thing. And it sounds like you have really good intuition.
Well, thank you.
I just, you sense the little boy. I love that you said he shined.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering what you're thinking about me right now.
Well, actually, I was just thinking when you were talking is that as a realtor and as a mover, we both walk through journeys with people, and that's something that is an opportunity not given often. There's companies and businesses built around it, but we get to walk with journeys, with people through their journeys, and be able to help them and take stresses off people. And I think that's something that's great. And so just those heavy moments in those times, I'm sure you've experienced a ton of those yourself, just where you can lift burdens off people's shoulders. It's the same thing. Like, I just think that's great. And so that was something that I was thinking of, just about what your profession is, and just, so
a little bit of a parallel.
Yeah. It's great. It's on one of those fields of thought. So
I love it. I'm so happy to have met you, but I'm not done yet. I'm being told we have 3 minutes left.
Great.
But you said the word heavy, which made me think, what's the biggest thing you've ever moved? And it doesn't have to be heavy. It might have been just the biggest thing you've ever moved.
Wow. That is a loaded question. So I'm just going to say
I asked John about a gun safe the other day, and he said, no, we do that.
And that was the first thought that I had.
Really?
So,
okay.
We have had this NFL player that we were very fortunate to be able to move, and that was great. But we looked in his garage, and one of the first things we saw was I say it was 1,000 pounds, just because I tried to physically, legs, entire body, move it to pick up half of it to where we could slide a dolly underneath it. I could barely move it myself, and we had 4 people, and then actually the actual NFL player actually came and helped with it. So we had 5
I would have called him first right off. What's he in there, eating lunch?
No, he was doing boxes and stuff.
What was it? Are you waiting? You're making me wait with bated breath on what was the object.
So it was a gun safe, that first one. But there was another object that was almost as equally as heavy, which was much more awkward. It may have been less weight, but the sheer size of it and just the shape of it, trying to get it through, there was a table. It was a homemade wooden table. I forget what type of wood, but it was heavy. And there was no metal put in it. It was all just wood. And it was
pieced together
Yeah, it was. It had braces going down on the legs, and then like wooden pegs.
So they don't come off.
No, they do
don't
not
come off.
No, unless you had like a wooden mallet and you just put on a robe and
Probably
just went older
break it.
times. Like
Right.
Jesus the Carpenter went to town on it.
Right.
But it was probably upwards of 750 pounds, and we had to turn it on its side and key it. We call keying it out of his front door, which was a great big door, and it still didn't fit right out. And so we had another 4 guys on that, just one at each corner, just sweating and experiencing that. And so that was all in the same move. This was literally the first 2 items that went out of the house. The rest of the job
Were you like, oh
felt
my gosh, what other big things are inside?
Oh, luckily that was about it. So, that was it. But all like the 40, 60 pound boxes just felt like nothing after that.
Hercules. Well, I was thinking, thank goodness the gun safe that was 1,000 and million pounds was in the garage.
Yes.
I've
Easy
seen
access.
them in the basement. Well, maybe from a walkout, but still, if you had to get that on a dolly around the grass up a hill,
not fun.
most people just go, I'm probably going to have to leave this because like that's what they say.
Yeah.
Like they'll have a giant gun safe like in somewhere in the basement.
Yeah, not easy access.
Right. And maybe it was there when they got there. Or maybe it was not even a gun safe. I don't know what's in those things.
Well,
they're huge.
Yeah, who could just be his brick collection. Who all knows? Because that's what felt like it was inside it. So.
Oh, Rhees, I've so enjoyed this interview. So thank you so much for being here today. And I just want to remind you, I'm speaking with Rhees Hancock with Kingdom Movers, locally owned and operated business right here in the Kansas City Metropolitan Area. And if you have any questions for Rhees or Kingdom Movers, please contact them right here at the number or the information given below. We thank you for watching Real Estate U Podcast, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.